Leo, my friend, something is about to be revealed that may take your breath away. News connected to your finances, your sense of worth, your future. It won't come with warning signs or flashing lights. It will come subtly, powerfully, and maybe even through something as simple as a message, a conversation, a quiet moment. And when it does, you won't believe what you hear. I need you to really let that sink in. Something unbelievable is on its way to you. If you've been feeling that strange inner pull, as if the ground beneath your feet is shifting, as if something big is building but you can't quite name it, then you already know what I'm talking about. That's not your imagination. It's the frequency of a breakthrough aligning with your path. Whether it's a long-awaited payout, an offer you thought had passed, or a surprising twist that brings you closer to the abundance you've been praying for, this moment is real. It's not just financial. It's foundational. This video was created because someone like you, a Leo with courage, and here 'tis ready to hear this. And if you're still here, I believe it's because something deep inside you is saying, this message might be for me. Between October 11th and 17th, Mercury forms a trine to Uranus, and if you know anything about that astrological combo, it means fast, unexpected communication. Uranus doesn't knock gently. It shakes. It disrupts. It surprises. But this time, the surprise is coded in opportunity, especially in matters of money and self-worth. The kind of opportunity that doesn't just upgrade your income. It rewrites your story. In my tarot pulls for Leo this season, the Tower stood tall beside Ace of Pentacles. That combination can look intimidating on the surface, a breakdown and a new beginning, but in truth, it's liberation disguised as loss. Something's falling away, not to hurt you, but to unchain you from what's been holding you back. The old model of how you work, how you earn, how you think about enough, is ready to evolve. So let me ask you something, Leo. What have you been holding on to, even though you know it's no longer helping you grow? A role that keeps you small? A belief that you don't deserve wealth? A fear that if you ask for more, it means you're greedy? Now is the time to let that go. Because the moment you release the version of you that clings to limitation, the version of you that believes abundance must come hard or not at all, that's when the real magic happens. And I don't use that word lightly. This isn't about magical thinking. This is about spiritual timing, energetic alignment, and the practical readiness to receive what you've been quietly preparing for. If you've noticed the numbers 888, 818, or 1044 showing up lately, that's not a coincidence. Those are financial angel codes. They often appear when the universe is preparing to restore something you thought was lost, to deliver something greater than you thought possible. And I want to pause here, just for a second, to thank you. Not just for being here, but for being open. For letting yourself believe even just a little that maybe this time, it's your time. Every like, every comment, every subscriber helps this message reach someone else who needs it. You're not just part of a YouTube audience. You're part of the eternal mindfulness family, and your energy is felt and honored. So if what I've said so far has touched something inside you even faintly, I invite you to stay with me. Because what's coming next in this video is more than guidance. It's a roadmap to a reality where you stop surviving and start thriving. And if you feel this message is meant for you, I want to hear from you. Comment below, "I claim my financial breakthrough," or simply, "I'm ready." Let's begin. There's something disorienting about receiving good news when you've been bracing for the worst for so long. It's like standing in the rubble of a house you've lived in for years, only to realize that what collapsed wasn't a tragedy, it was an invitation. Leo, if you felt something breaking apart lately internally or externally, don't rush to patch it back up. Sit with it. The Tower card doesn't arrive in our lives to punish us. It arrives to release us. It's not chaos without purpose. It's sacred disruption. Now, here's where it gets even more interesting. In your reading, the Tower didn't come alone. It was followed by the Ace of Pentacles. And that changes everything. Because when a collapse is paired with a seed of opportunity, what we're really looking at is a divine reset. Not just the end of something, but the beginning of something much more aligned with who you're becoming. And yes, it often comes disguised. Sometimes, it shows up as an email from someone you haven't heard from in years. Other times, it's a sudden offer, a deposit you weren't expecting, a decision from someone else that shifts your entire path. These moments don't feel loud, but they ripple. What's important to understand is that this isn't just about money, it's about value. The Tower asks, what have you built your worth upon? And the Ace answers, here's something real you can grow from. Maybe it's a job offer. Maybe it's a new client. Maybe it's finally being paid what you're worth, not just in currency, but in respect, recognition, and room to breathe. This is the universe saying, I didn't forget you. I've just been preparing the soil. And if you felt unseen, overlooked, overworked, let me tell you something I've told hundreds of people in my practice. Just because something hasn't arrived doesn't mean it isn't real. Some things need more time to bloom, especially when the roots go deep. You've been doing deep, invisible work. Emotional healing, spiritual growth, financial patience. These aren't things others can always see, but trust me, theory recorded in your field. And the energy you've put in? It's been stacking. Quietly. Faithfully. Now, let's talk numbers, because the universe doesn't just speak through people or events. It whispers through symbols. And if you've been seeing sequences like 888, 818, or 1044, that's not just coincidence. That's confirmation. 888 is the number of abundance, balance, and divine compensation. 818 signals that an old financial chapter is closing and a new one is opening. And 1044 often appears when the spiritual foundation for wealth is finally stable enough to receive. These aren't cute signs. They're road signs. And if they've been showing up for you, it means you're on the road whether or not you feel like it yet. I know how it feels to wait. To pour your heart into something and hear nothing back. To wonder if the prayers even landed, if the vision board was just wishful thinking. But let me offer this, sometimes, the silence is not rejection, it's recalibration. Sometimes, things take longer because they're becoming something better. And when your blessing finally comes, it doesn't always knock loudly. It might whisper. And if you're still enough, you'll hear it. So let me ask you, from one soul to another, have you seen these numbers? Have you noticed synchronicities lately that feel too specific to ignore? If so, I want you to share them below. Say it out loud. Write it into the digital ether. I've seen 888. Or 1044 keeps finding me. Not just because I want to read it, but because declaring it reinforces your alignment. It says, yes, I see what the universe is showing me. And I'm listening. You've made it this far not by accident, but by endurance. And now, something is arriving. Something you can plant. Something you can build with. The tower may have fallen, but in its place stands fertile ground. Ready when you are. Leo, you've always been strong. You've worn that strength like a crown, bright, undeniable, commanding respect. But there's a different kind of strength the universe is inviting you into now. One that doesn't roar, but exhales. One that doesn't fight to prove its worth, but simply allows itself to receive. That's the lesson emerging in this moment. And it's not loud or dramatic. It's subtle, like a door you didn't even realize you'd closed, finally unlocking itself from the inside. In the reading, we saw the Devil card paired with the Sun. That's not a common combination, and it's not one to take lightly. The Devil represents all the invisible chains: fear, scarcity, guilt, unspoken conditioning that keep us tied to survival mode. It's the voice in your head that says, you'll never have enough, or don't want too much, or you'll lose everything. It's the programming we pick up from childhood, from culture, from generations of ancestors who lived in lack and passed down the emotional DNA of just getting by. But then the Sunday. The breakthrough. The light of awareness and liberation. When these two appear together, it means one thing: the lies are coming to light, and you are ready to see yourself, and your worth, more clearly than ever before. I want you to pause for a moment and really think about how you view money. Not how much you make, not what's in your account, but how you feel about it. When a bill comes in, do you shrink a little? When someone gives you something generous, do you feel a pinch of guilt instead of gratitude? When you think about wealth, do you feel desire or shame? These are questions I've had to ask myself. These are questions I've asked hundreds of people. And they always reveal something deeper than we expect. The truth is, most people don't struggle with money itself, they struggle with the emotions they've attached to it. Fear of losing it. Fear of not being worthy of it. Fear that having it will make them bad or selfish. And so we hold back. We overgive but don't allow ourselves to receive. We work hard but struggle to rest. We keep pouring out without refilling. That's not just financial imbalance, it's energetic exhaustion. And Leo, you weren't born to exhaust yourself for the approval of systems that were never built for your brilliance. You were born to shine, to flourish, to circulate abundance like light. But you can't do that if you're still clinging to beliefs that cage you. Here's what I want you to try. Write down one belief you've carried about money that you know is holding you back. Maybe it's, I have to struggle to succeed, or rich people are greedy, or I don't deserve to have more than my parents had. Write it out. Look at it. Then light a candle, and as you burn that paper safely, say this out loud: I release this belief. I choose freedom. I choose to receive. That simple act is more than symbolic. It's energetic. It tells your nervous system, your subconscious mind, and the universe itself that you are done with scarcity. That you're making space for something different. And speaking of space, look around your physical environment. What are you holding on to that feels heavy? Are there clothes you no longer wear? Papers you don't need? Even digital clutter? Everything you keep, just in case, sends a message. I don't trust I'll receive more. So clear it out. Donate, delete, release. Make room not just metaphorically, but literally for new energy, new resources, new invitations to flow in. This isn't about manifesting wealth through magic thinking. It's about aligning your daily choices with the reality you say you want. The way you treat money, the way you talk about it, the way you feel when it shows up, those are your rituals. Make them count. Make them honest. Make them loving. Because the truth is, Leo, you are not broke. You are not unlucky. You are not forgotten. You are simply waking up. And in that awakening, you will remember what it feels like to receive without guilt, to trust without proof, and to live like abundance is your natural state. Because it is. And it always has been. There are certain moments when the sky doesn't just reflect what's happening within you, it amplifies it. The upcoming full moon on October 17th is one of those moments, especially for you, Leo. With the moon activating your financial axis and the sun beaming into your second house of self-worth and material security, what's being illuminated now isn't just about money. It's about your value. And not the kind you prove to others, but the kind you quietly forgot to claim for yourself. Think of this lunation like a mirror held up to your energetic bank account. It's not here to shame you or make you feel behind. It's here to invite an honest audit. Where have you been underselling yourself? Where have you been overgiving, undercharging, or saying yes to things that only leave you feeling smaller? This full moon wants you to look at what you've invested emotionally, spiritually, and practically and ask, is it paying off? And if not, why am I still writing checks from this part of my life? In the tarot spread, the Judgment card appeared next to the Knight of Swords. That's not a soft whisper, it's a cosmic announcement followed by rapid delivery. Judgment speaks to awakening, to rising from old versions of ourselves, and seeing clearly where we've been asleep at the wheel. The Knight of Swords? That's urgency. Information flying in. Clarity that doesn't wait for permission. This pairing tells me that around the full moon, you might receive news that forces you to reevaluate something major, a contract, an opportunity, a relationship, or even your own inner narrative about worthiness. And it's not here to scare you. It's here to make you realign. Let me say something that might hit home. Sometimes, we've lived so long in survival mode, we forget we're already carrying treasure. You may have gotten so used to emotional budgeting, scaling down your joy, trimming your needs, staying humble, that you didn't even notice you're still holding a golden basket while feeding yourself spiritual crumbs. That's what this full moon exposes. It doesn't just highlight what's missing. It shows you what's always been there, but you've stopped seeing it as enough. And that's where the shift begins. Not by chasing more, but by recognizing what you already have and using that as the launch pad. One practical way to start is by journaling 3 things you did well each day. It sounds simple, but neurologically, it begins rewiring your awareness toward your capacity rather than your perceived lack. You start realizing you're not behind, you've just been busy growing invisible roots. And now, it's harvest time. Color plays a subtle but powerful role here too. The energy of jade green is especially active this week. It resonates with the heart chakra, softens self-judgment, and opens the channels for prosperity to flow through compassion rather than pressure. Consider wearing it, surrounding yourself with it, or meditating with it. The frequency it carries isn't loud, it's stable. And that's exactly what your spirit craves right now. If any part of this feels like it's speaking to you, don't let it stay silent. Drop into the comments and share what shade of green you'll be wearing this week. Maybe it's a scarf, a bracelet, a post-it on your wall. But say it. Claim it. Anchor it in reality. Because the moment you start interacting with energy consciously, it begins interacting with you back. This isn't about perfection. It's about alignment. The more honest you are about where you're out of alignment with your value, the faster you get to shift. And you don't have to wait for the world to give you permission. This full moon is your permission. It's your moment to look up at the sky and say, yes, I'm ready to match my outer world to the worth I've always held within. And when you do, Leo, get ready. Because the universe always responds to someone who finally remembers what they're worth. Sometimes the things we've been waiting to hear the most don't arrive with trumpets or grand entrances, they land quietly, like a whisper we almost miss. But deep down, a part of us always knew. That's the energy you're walking into now, Leo. And it's not just coincidence. When cards like the High Priestess, the Wheel of Fortune, the Star, and Six of Wands show up together in a reading, you don't take that lightly. That's not just luck, it's alignment. This is about long-awaited clarity, destined timing, and the success that finds you not because you chased it endlessly, but because you finally became available to receive it. The High Priestess is the voice behind the noise, the truth underneath the pressure, the part of you that's always known something bigger was meant for you. She doesn't shout, she nudges. And sometimes that's all it takes. One nudge, one shift, one moment of choosing to believe in your own knowing over the opinions of the world. If you've had a gut feeling lately that something major is about to happen, pay attention. The High Priestess is often the part of us that knows what the mind isn't ready to see yet. And that's okay. Because the universe speaks in layers. And you're starting to hear beyond the surface. Then comes the Wheel of Fortune. This is the card of divine timing, and it doesn't operate on your schedule, it moves according to spiritual alignment. It brings what is rightfully yours, but only once you've released what's no longer meant to stay. That could be an outdated mindset, a job that drains you, or a version of yourself who believed playing small was the safer route. The wheel only turns when you're ready to move forward without dragging the past behind you. And with it comes the star. The star reminds you that hope isn't naive, it's magnetic. That staying soft after disappointment is strength, not weakness. It's the card that says, your light is still visible. You're still on path, even if it's taken longer than you thought. And standing beside that light? The Six of Wands. Celebration. Recognition. A moment where everything you've endured turns into something that makes sense. The delays, the losses, the battles, they weren't empty. They were building you. And now, they're beginning to pay off. You may receive news soon, an invitation, an approval, a long-delayed answer that confirms what you've sensed in your bones for months. But this isn't just about external validation. It's about the inner shift that made it possible. The version of you that knows you're worthy now, not when things look perfect. The one who doesn't need to prove anything, just needs to be present. If you want to ground this energy into your daily life, start here. Each morning, take 5 minutes, no phone, no noise. Close your eyes and breathe. Say softly, I am a magnet for wealth, opportunity, and clarity. I trust what is unfolding. Don't force yourself to feel different. Just plant the seed. That's how energetic rituals work. They shift the soil even before the bloom appears. And if you've ever had a feeling, a sign, a moment of knowing that later came true, I want to hear about it. Share it in the comments. Let it be a space of shared experience, of subtle miracles that showed up when you least expected them but most needed them. This is more than storytelling. It's how we remind each other that magic is real when we stop trying to control the timing. You're not late. You're right on time for the version of your life that's finally ready to meet you where you are. And if that little voice inside is whispering, I think something good is coming, believe it. Because it is. When energy moves, it often moves first within us quietly, almost invisibly before it shows up in our outer world. That's the case right now, Leo. Everything you've been tuning into over these last few weeks, the intuition, the signs, the subtle shifts, theory not separate from your reality. They are your reality beginning to stretch into a new shape. But if we want to receive more, whether it's love, money, health, or peace, we have to create space for it. And space doesn't only mean time or room on your calendar. It means space in your body, in your mind, in your habits, in your heart. Let's begin with something simple but often overlooked: your physical well-being. You cannot build an abundant life on a stressed-out nervous system. You cannot hold more light when your body is locked in survival mode. I've seen this again and again with clients, with myself, how often we say, "I'm ready for more," while our daily routines communicate the opposite. So before anything else, give yourself the gift of slowing down. Start your day with a deep breath, no rush, no phone. Drink warm water to settle your system. Brew ginger tea or mint to help digestion and calm the energy that may be spinning too fast. Add simple foods that ground you: oats, flax seeds, celery juice. You don't have to follow a perfect routine. You just have to listen to what your body is quietly asking for. When it comes to work, I want you to hear this clearly. Being tired doesn't mean you're lazy. Being unmotivated doesn't mean you've failed. It could simply mean that you're misaligned. If you've been pushing through your job or responsibilities with clenched teeth, it may be time to pause and ask, is this still serving the person I'm becoming? The law of attraction responds most powerfully not to effort, but to energy. When you're genuinely lit up by what you do, and a small part of it, money starts to find its way to you. Clients feel it. Opportunities feel it. And income follows, not just because you hustle, but because your frequency has shifted from resistance to resonance. In love, something even more tender is unfolding. The cards drawn: Two of Cups, Eight of Wands, and the Lovers speak to a connection that isn't just romantic, but recognizable. It's the kind of connection that feels like coming home, even if it arrives unexpectedly. This might be someone from the past returning, or a new person who sees through your defenses. Either way, your heart will know. But here's what matters more than who they are: it's who you are when they arrive. Don't enter this next chapter of love still guarding yourself from what hurt you in the last. Let the lessons shape you, not shut you. You are worthy of a love that flows, not forces. Financially, there's a subtle but powerful shift asking to be made. Many of us spend from fear, buying things to feel secure, in control, or comforted. And it's okay. We all do it. But fear-based spending teaches your energy that money is here to fill a void, not expand a life. So what if, this week, you tried something different? Spend because you believe in the future you're building. Invest in what nourishes you. Say no to what just numbs you. And most importantly, keep track not to control every cent, but to build conscious awareness. Writing down what you spend isn't restriction. It's reverence. It's a signal to the universe that you're ready to hold more, not out of desperation, but out of clarity. All of this, your body, your work, your relationships, your finances, are not separate pieces. They're a constellation of how you love yourself. And when you begin to treat them that way, everything starts to move. One breath, one shift, one gentle decision at a time. You don't have to overhaul your life in a day. Just open the door. The rest will come. What if I told you that you didn't stumble across this message by chance, but that something greater guided you here, right on time? Because the truth is, you didn't find this video. This video found you. And that means something. It means you are ready to open, to receive, to finally walk through the door that's been waiting for you all along. The World and the Ace of Wands, these cards don't show up by accident. They mark a turning point, a chapter closing not in sadness, but in power. A new flame lighting up in your spirit, one that says, I don't need permission anymore to live the life I've always sensed was mine. And maybe, just maybe, today is the day you stop doubting if it's possible. Because what if the real question was never about whether you're capable, but whether you're willing to believe you are? Here's the thing no one tells you. The door doesn't open because you beg. It opens because you finally walk up to it, knock with your whole heart, and say, I'm ready now. And if something in this video stirred that feeling inside you, no matter how small, then trust it. Let it move you into action, not tomorrow, not next month, but now. Because waiting for the perfect moment is how most people miss their moment. So I want to ask you something gently, but seriously. If you knew for sure you couldn't fail, what would you allow yourself to receive today? What version of yourself would you stop hiding? What truth would you finally say out loud? And maybe even more importantly, what would you stop settling for? Let this be the space where your shift begins. A quiet decision. A whispered commitment. You can start simply by anchoring the energy. Type in the comments, I claim my shocking miracle, or I am ready to receive my blessing. Not because the words are magic, but because they reflect the decision you've just made in your heart. And trust me, that is where real transformation begins. If this message touched something deep in you, let it ripple outward. Like this video, subscribe to Eternal Mindfulness, and share it with someone you love. You never know whose miracle is waiting on the other side of a small act of sharing. And most of all, thank you. Thank you for your presence, your energy, and your openness to hear this truth today. Every like, every comment, every subscription helps this community grow and brings these healing messages to more hearts around the world. Your support means everything. You are not walking alone. This path is sacred, and you belong on it. So until next time, don't just listen to the message. Live it. Embody it. And walk forward knowing that your life is not only capable of change, it is meant to change. Eternal Mindfulness is here, always, to remind you, you don't have to wait for a miracle. You already are one.